Repository and Repertoire stages a conversation between the archival processes of Jazmine Harris and the haptic choreographies of José Santiago Pérez. They arrange and compose images, objects, attitudes, and issues that articulate socio-historical relationships between local knowledge and global narratives. This exhibition asks, in a time of not knowing entirely how to live, how do we process the emerging present and unknown future? How do we be reflexive about a contemporary history as one lives it? Repository refers to cultural events that are preserved permanently, such as writing, photographs, or recordings, stored in archives, libraries, and collections, and therefore are perceived as stable and unchanging over time. Through the scrapbooking of recent financial news headlines, family photographs, and notes to self, all created and found within the last year, Harris repositions her personal archive against the scale of larger cultural powers that seek to determine the course of her life. By first displacing, then reduplicating already existing photos, she untethers photographies tied to time. This release allows for a fluidity to create new temporal relationships to memory, and thus new narrative structures that position Black women across generations to be self-determined agents of their own making. Repertoire applies to a culture embodied in the practices of events such as dances and plays. They follow a script but are perceived as temporary, fragile, and easily forgotten. However, a ritualized or reiterative performance does not disappear. They replicate themselves through a process of memorization and internalization. A repertoire could extend from the stage into the everyday through repeated habits of adjusting and modifying our bodies to bear burdens over time. Pérez reworks traditional burden baskets through performative processes to build a language between time and touch. Through the repeated work of twisting and coiling, weaving is both a meditative space for Pérez to process the events of the last year, and also a method to create vessels for anyone to pour their mental burdens and momentarily unload emotional weight. Although archival and embodied knowledges seem to work in opposition, these two ways of storing personal and collective histories illuminate and invigorate one another. Harris and Pérez not only offer their photographic and performative works as systems for processing the ever-shifting present, they also offer a way of knowing that stems from within themselves, from their record and embodiment of a historical moment. When the world is unknown and dominant forces seem to determine our course, the artist's rearrangement and rework reveal how in such times people direct their lives and assert agency.